Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you happen to be. Welcome to another edition of the Living World of Darkness. Serendipity is a thing. It's the occurrence where two people meet twice, and the likelihood and possibility of them doing so is astronomically high. This usually happens in rural areas with lots of space in between the two individuals that happen to be traveling. In a city, sometimes it's much more common, as such the case is now. We see Jericho Ogma riding the railway system that he usually does, coming back from his shift work at the coroner's office. He, for his part, has started to change up his appearance quite a bit to sort of alienate his persona that he uses at work versus the persona that he usually uses with the rest of the supernatural community. We begin our scene with Jericho simply sitting in one of those plastic buckets they call a bench. Right across from him is a rather large gentleman. You can only assume this gentleman. It's quite a costume, actually. It appears to be, well, if you've ever seen Donnie Darko, it's definitely that mask, it's definitely that costume, but the eyes seem to be glowing a little bit with LEDs. Jericho, for his part, is somewhat disturbed by that particular mannerism. It looks like one of the occult system of Bahamut, the wolf, not the wolf, the occult pagan goat. So he goes ahead and transfers cars once over and sits on another train entirely.
As he comes into the other train, he rides through 2 or 3 more stations. If he had the ability to scent, he might notice a scent that he recognized throughout some of the stations and some of the trains that are traveling on that particular line, as if they've been well traveled by that individual scent. As Jericho sits there on the train car as it comes up to the next stop, the train car begins to empty out as an individual walks in. And she kind of raises her head slightly up in the air and is going to roll her perception and primal urge and is going to invest a point of willpower. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Difficulty 8? Difficulty 8?
It's 6% of the true form.
Fair dues, you're using a gift, I assume, right?
Yep.
Alright, I'm gonna roll to see if I spot you first.
Fair enough.
1 success. We can safely assume that
You definitely
Danica...
notice the people giving her a wide berth, probably changing train cars and whatnot.
Okay, fair enough. What does this gift do exactly?
It says Philolox is able to scent the truth of those she meets, literally sniffing out an individual's true form.
Okay. You see,
I need 4 more successes to peg a mage, ghoul, or 4 more.
Fair dues.
Yeah.
You see a man that is that may be an oddity to you, simply because he is not as he doesn't suffer, or at least doesn't seem to exhibit the curse upon him. A little bit older, a little bit baldy, old crinkly hands as well.
Danica will make her way across make her way to where he's sitting and sit down in the seat across from him. And sit there and bring one leg up over the other and kind of fold her hands neatly upon those knees. She just stares at him, quizzically at first, but if you want to roll perception and perception and alertness, maybe you can catch that her nostrils are doing that, when you're taking in some breathing in?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you can definitely tell that she's gotten a lock on you. And she sits there with that smug smile that Jericho likely remembers of Danica.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll sit back and look at him for just a moment before speaking. Well, fancy seeing you here.
Sorry, Missy, what?
And she cants her head to one side. Jack.
Jackson Baker's over there. He's currently pissing in the corner if you're looking for him.
Jericho.
Goes ahead and looks at you. Now, why are you calling me by that?
She's going to lean forward slightly towards him and just kind of gesture for him to come a little bit closer.
He won't.
She sort of rolls her lips slightly and licks the front of her teeth. You know, sight is not the only way we can find you, right?
Good to know. Why are you bothering me today?
I had questions for you again, and you don't have a phone. You never gave me a number, at least. Not that I would have ever expected you to. But I had more questions.
But maybe I have more answers for you then.
That's good. I like the fact that our conversations are at least amicable.
Well, you haven't pointed a gun at me, so everything seems to be hunky-dory.
Well, that would be awful rude to do that.
Seeing as this subway car isn't splattered with my internal organs yet, I'm assuming that these conversations are going to remain amicable.
Unless you do something to cause me any leave to do something, yes, they will remain as such. I don't have any plans on doing anything uncouth to you.
That's good. That's good. So, if you think that this is such a secure location to have this particular conversation, shoot.
Well, if you want to go somewhere else, we can.
Oh, no, no, no. I like some places that are semi-public, just so, you know, should things happen.
She holds up both hands. I can understand why. It's only fair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jericho, my friend, you've been accommodating enough considering the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing so, you have given me certain, well, just certain things, certain information that I don't think you meant to give up. And there are plenty of others that I've talked to that are in the know about your little situation. And I've worked it out, and I've gotten my confirmation.
You're talking in doublespeak here, my good man. If
Well,
you have such
obviously.
a confirmed, if you have gotten your evidence, if you confirmed such evidence, why are you talking to me about such evidence?
Because I don't want a skewed perspective of this place of power.
You're talking about that, then.
We are talking about that. I want to know more about it. If there is a chance that things could go bad, I'd like to be able to preserve it. I'd like to be able to rally support for it. Because if Alicia calls for help, I don't think she'll get it. Not from us.
Has Alicia fallen so out of your favor?
Are you asking as a personal question or as a generalized question?
Well, mostly as a generalized question. If she's so politically unpopular, I would like to know.
The way she talks about outsiders and how she volunteers information that she probably shouldn't, it probably would come as no surprise to you that she's not number one amongst many.
Okay.
If you want my personal opinion, I think that Alicia is probably one of the more well-meaning members of the Sept. That much I can gather from talking to her. But I think she's also, as I've said before, naive. And I think she lets personal feelings get in the way of clear judgment.
Hmm. Okay. This place of power, what would your intentions be on it?
I don't think going manifest destiny on it is an option at this point. I know for a fact that there are certain high-ranking individuals within our sept that have given her leave to be able to operate as she wishes. But that doesn't sway everybody.
Okay.
I
But what are
suppose
your intentions for it?
I want to see how well protected it is. I want to know what what your people, how they view these places of power. What your opinions on them are, what your purpose with them is, and then make my own decisions based on that, where I stand. Because at this point, regardless of what I think, the warden has spoken on the matter and given Alicia certain immunity from certain things. But even he admitted that things could go bad, and probably will if we're not careful.
My own intention for that place of power, the way I view that particular one, and what I would use it for, is simply to take it away from somebody else. You know it. I know it. In fact, I think it's quite obvious, at least to your people, that there is a storm brewing, and that that storm got hold of any unprotected place of power, it would devour it and become more powerful. My intention for that place of power is to protect it from such a fate, to remove it from the storm. The way I view it, that place of power, it's not mine. I never claimed it. I never wanted it. I simply want to keep it out of the hands of things that would use it and they get more powerful and cause more destruction.
What do your people use them for, generally speaking, in a general sense?
What do your people use them for?
They're spiritual places for us. You already know this.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you is to put a certain cap on illusions or preconceptions that my people have about yours. Because they have a term for your kind in a very broad sense, and it's not flattering.
No, I wouldn't assume it to be so, but tell me about this prejudice.
If I were to believe the stories that go around our nation as a whole, you siphon these places until they're useless. You siphon them of that energy that our mother puts out, and you use it to your own devices. My guess is to power the ability that you wield.
I'll tell you this much. My ability to use my power has nothing to do with whatever resources or assets I may hold, whether places of power I may visit. The idea that I would siphon out a place of power until it was completely and utterly useless makes no sense to me. Because once I drain such a site, I can't go back there. I can't go back, get another drop at the well. Because that's the thing. You, I, and everybody else are in a very, very big desert. And these places of power are like wells. Why in the world would I want to take all the water from a well? That subtracts from everybody else.
But you do drink from it.
Just like you drink from it.
Hmm, that's generalizing, but I can see your point.
If you're worried about me personally, drawing so much power out of a place of power to ruin it utterly for generations to come, you don't have to worry about that. I practice.
She'll point at him slightly. I'm not worried about you in particular. I do think that you are something of a wild card simply in the respect that we can't control you. We don't know your motivations in and out. Your kind, on the other hand, has a reputation within our people for a reason, I'm guessing, just as we probably have a reputation as brutal savages for a good reason.
Do I respect your power? Do I respect your strength? I do,
I
as I've
don't
always done.
I don't need your respect for my power or strength. That's not what I'm put here for. I would hope if you respect me for anything is my temperance.
All right, if you want me to do that, I'll go ahead and do that.
Or in the long-term sense, do these places of power for your kind eventually run dry? Or can they be preserved if treated with a certain respect and care?
There are masters of my kind. Think about it like this. Stewardship. It's a very, very keen idea. A bad steward will go ahead and use up whatever investment a master gives him for frivolous affairs. A good steward goes ahead and maintains his master's affairs while he's on vacation, making sure not to draw too much and making sure to replace back any losses. However, the great steward finds a way to take the investment of the master and multiply it so that when the master returns, he gets the most yield from it. It's the same way with our people. There are stupid ones that don't know what they're doing, that draw too much. There are those who know how to steward and maintain a place of power, never taking too much, always returning to it, making sure it refills. And then there are those of us that are able to walk in the desert, find a blank spot, and draw water from a rock.
Fair enough. You said that this place doesn't belong to you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Who does it belong to?
I can give you a few names. I actually am very, very glad to give you a few names, simply because it's not my responsibility.
She's gonna look at him real quick. I'm gonna roll a perception and empathy to see if he's taking any joy or how he said that.
Okay.
Because I imagine that there is a certain hidden or something that might be behind what he's saying. But just give me a minute. 5 dice. 1, 2, 3 successes.
Okay. Jericho isn't really trying to hide his motive, so I won't roll it against it.
Mhm.
Let's see. You can definitely tell that this man is, as he said, a steward. He's not a master. He doesn't want to take control of the situation. He's laying no claims to anything right at this particular moment. And he's more than willing to bring other people into the equation. more people that'll actually take authority and responsibility for that place of power, which he does not want.
So this seems more like him trying to preclude himself from just the fallout rather than hanging a certain someone out to dry.
Pretty much. He's
Okay,
trying to pass the buck to somebody else.
all right, fair enough.
His name was an Alex Winterborn. He was the first one to discover the place of power. He was the first one to invite people over to that place of power and partake in it. And you already know another one by the name of, Alicia.
And of course, I know Alicia.
Here is Winterborn's number and his contact information. Feel free to get in contact with him.
Anybody else I should know about?
There are very, very few residents of that particular chantry that I can actually give you information on. Look to Alicia. Look to people around her.
I'm trying not to involve Alicia in this.
Why not?
If she gets involved, it's going to skew any sway I have over garnering allies to either protect this place or make sure that it's in the right hands. I won't lie to you, Jericho. If we feel that this place isn't protected, it would be the motive of our kind to ensure its sustainability and that it is treated properly, as I'm sure you're likely aware.
Of course, of course. Like I said, I'm not meaning to take any resource away from you, and I'm not meaning to claim anything. The power is more maintained and kept out of the hands of people that would destroy it and use it to snowball. Let me ask you this. Can a spirit lay claim to such a place? Would you be able to talk to a guardian of such a place?
It depends on a great number of things. A spirit that could take over a place of power would depend on how potent it is, I suppose. Whether it would even be worthy of their notice. And then that would also tie into exactly how potent that particular spirit is.
Okay, how about this? And Jericho is going to go into his pocket and take out a scrap piece of paper. I found this name a long, long time ago, actually. Well, not a long time ago. A few days ago. Do you know what the tenebrous horned horse is?
I know what that is. Out of character, I'm going to have to roll. Let me roll my Garulor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to throw a point of willpower in this because it's important. Yeah, 2 successes. She's going to she'll sort of look at him with a raised brow. You're talking about Black Unicorn.
That is another name that it apparently goes by. Are you able to get in contact with this particular spirit?
Any of us can. It's just some of us have to go through certain hoops to get there, while others of us have direct access.
Do you have direct access?
I can have access to it, yes.
Good. Talk to your black unicorn about the place of power that it currently protects. The residents of that place of power made a contract with one of its aspects in order to safeguard it. Their portion of the contract would be to safeguard it on this side of the gauntlet. Its side of the contract was to protect the Umbralscape from any spiritual influences.
I'm going to roll a Truth of Gaia on this one.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, what's your manipulation subterfuge?
What is my manipulation subterfuge? 3, because I don't buy subterfuge.
You guileless bastard, you.
I know. It's like I get more stuff done simply telling the truth.
You do tell the truth. I'll give you that one.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it can potentially get you killed. But it has also saved your ass several times. I can't see all of these, but
So
it looks
4, 6, 4, 7,
all
6.
successes.
There you go.
Yeah, so 5 successes.
Yep.
Okay. So you think,
According to what Jericho, as he understands it, that is indeed a contract that was made.
as he stands it, or the truth of the matter, because I don't think it goes on what you understand. It's just whether the statement is true or not.
Okay. Again, as Jericho understands it, and as I, as a player, understand it, that is indeed the truth. There
Okay.
was a contract signed between the residents of that particular place of power, and they did contact Black Unicorn in order to protect the Umbralscape in
Okay.
return for stewardship of this place of power.
Okay. She sort of sits back and almost looks like somebody who's just had a head rush, almost like their mind has been a little bit blown by this. And she sits back and she contemplates for a good 2 to 3 minutes, very silently, and she's sort of, you can see the way that she's sitting and not really paying Jericho direct attention, that she's definitely thinking. And she sort of chews on her bottom lip for a moment before looking at him. Okay. If one of... Well, if Black Unicorn is watching out over this place, that's a huge step in the right direction. You have no idea how big that is, actually.
Tell me then. No, really, please, do go on.
It's not something I should tell you. If Alicia wants to volunteer the information, ask her. She can define the particulars about it. Don't think it's my place.
From what I understood from the lore of authors' tales, in order to make sure it had the right components, or at least they. It's a very honorable figure. I understand that. A figure that wants to, in order to pay for its services, you must be able to defend those who are defenseless and generally seek a good cause.
Danica just kind of shakes her head with this smirk on her face. Can't believe this.
What can't you believe? Any spirit is like any other spirit. Place of power.
It's complicated.
Then explain it to me. Make it uncomplicated, at least for me.
I'll explain it to you, but on the condition that you answer my next question fully to the point where I'm satisfied.
I believe I answered a few of your questions beforehand about the way my people view places of power. So think about this as you were paying me.
Danica is going to get very stoic as she leans forward. And you can see it in her eyes that those... God, I need to edit this picture, by the way. Those blue eyes of her actually kind of go yellow for a moment as she looks at Jericho directly in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I should roll. I don't even know if I have any dice in that. I don't!
Wow.
Wonderful! Although I think I can add my. Well, I could add my rage to it, I guess. Um, so I'm gonna roll manipulation and rage, I guess. And if that's not
I'll
cool,
Yeah, I'll tell you this much. If you roll your rage, there's going to be a reaction to everybody else. I know they're in a separate car, but they'll start rushing away. They'll feel that. I know this isn't the way. I'm not aware of Steve, but I'm going to go ahead and say that's the thing that would happen.
I'm totally cool with that. Just a bunch of people freaking out for whatever reason.
Hmm.
Because it's not actually shattering the veil because no one saw anything. They just felt really bad about being in a certain space. Um, Not nearly
One.
as good as I hoped.
Ooh,
One
one.
success.
Okay. That is like
So all the
one.
people, they look like anybody who's standing in there. All of a sudden, it's kind of like a Wild West sort of thing. You know, high
Hmm.
noon when the black hat and the white hat are meeting in the middle of the street.
Hmm.
People just the train's still moving along. They're going opposite ends of the car and going through those exits into the next cars.
If you don't mind, I will go ahead and roll willpower to resist.
She's not an Arun,
See what
so
happens.
if she fails miserably, it wouldn't be surprising.
Hey, you got one success on me?
Hey, all right. So yeah, she is intimidating.
Nice. Oh yeah, with one success, she is definitely intimidating.
Wonderful. She's just going to kind of lean forward, and you can kind of see like those features. They just seem more feral about her, and you can almost feel that palpable sense of rage on her. And Jericho probably at that point has an idea that maybe he's pushed a button
Oh,
just
I've
slightly.
felt this. Oh, Jericho has felt this rage before, coming off of Travis.
But she leans forward and she looks at Jericho. Watch your tongue and watch your tone.
All I want to be is amlookable.
I'm trying to be.
How about this? How about this? Do you want a number to call me by?
A phone number.
A phone number that will lead to one of my beepers, a number that will finally reach me at one point or another, but not my direct
Her
number.
her her expression changes almost immediately the second you say beeper. Like she's sitting there being menacing, and immediately that snaps her right out of it. Did you just say beeper?
They still use them.
Isn't it cheaper to have a cell phone now?
It's much more secure to have a beeper.
Fair point. Okay. So it means to contact you by then.
Make this uncomplicated, and I'll give you my beeper number.
Alright? We have a deal.
Explain to me why Black Unicorn is such a big deal, and explain to me why having him around that place of power is complicated. As Jericho is going to go ahead and get another slip of paper and just hold it in his hand.
It's complicated in the fact that I don't think I could make you understand the connection as well as it needs to be. I can articulate it, but not perfectly.
Well, there you go. I just missed my exit. Seems I'm going to be on this train for quite a while.
It's a cleaner car, so you'll be alright. No, it's cleaner than some of
Mm-hmm.
them I've seen. Um, let's see. How can I explain this? A spirit of that magnitude deciding to patron over something that isn't inherently ours That's a fairly big deal. And as I
Because,
understand it, Unicorn has a certain degree of righteousness about it, if that makes any sense.
mm-hmm.
So that means something. I'm not exactly sure how to articulate it any better than that.
Tell me a
With that,
story. Usually stories hold a lot more meaning in the interpretation afterwards. Tell me a story about this black unicorn. A long one. One that will make me understand.
I think that Alicia, because of her tribe, would be able to explain it better. The very little bit I know about Black Unicorn is that he's honorable, and he patrons those who are in conflict. I've heard that those that fight in his name have to do so honorably. Straight up. Face to face. No backstabbing. No stealth attacks. Things of that nature. For certain members of my people, that works out very well for them. For others, not at all. I mean, she's literally telling you pretty much everything she knows because out of character, she doesn't have any spirit or umbral lore.
Fair dues, fair dues. Jericho's hearing parts of these stories, and he's just really much just confirming a few things that he already knows. But after you give a little bit of a spiel, a little bit of a description, a little bit of your own thesis about what Black Unicorn may be, Jericho's just going to go ahead and unfold the piece of paper and hand it over.
She'll look at it.
It's got the number on it.
She'll take it and fold it up with Alex Winterbourne's contact information and put it in her pocket.
As soon as you get that thing to ring, then we will have a two-way communication.
That works.
So
I don't.
what are you doing about the storm?
Me personally, I haven't been brought in on any plans against it just yet. There are groups that are being brought together to deal with it, but I haven't been part of a group just yet. I haven't been brought together with anyone, although I'm talking with some individuals about forming a band, so to speak.
Fair dues. Here's one thing that I need. New York has a lot of problems, and I need some of those problems solved so I can solve some of my other problems. That storm, like I said, has been in the forefront of my mind for as long as a few weeks now. The reason that I went up to that place of power only a few days ago and made that contract go through was to make sure that particular place of power was protected from the storm. I need that storm to go away.
We all need that storm to go away. Some of us aren't exactly frontline combatants, if you understand my meaning.
Jericho looks at you, raises an eyebrow. I thought all of you were blessed as such.
All of us are capable, certainly, but there are some that are more capable than others.
Okay.
Some of us have certain roles. Mine is, well, it's right on the fringe of both support and direct. But let me put this into your mind. As we all go, we might have our own motivations, we might have our prejudices and our allegiances, but we all do work for the same goal. That storm in the sky, so to speak, is a problem for everyone. So everyone is working on it, just some not as directly as others, but are awaiting a call.
Hmm. There are other threats out there than just the storm. And there are threats that would easily want to take that place of power to itself and devour it, because he is such a giant jackass bastard.
She'll look at Jericho. Sounds like you have a story to share.
Oh yeah, I have a story to share and a warning to give. There is somebody coming back to us. He, what can I say? What can I say in a way that would make sense to you? He is full of the need to destroy and the need to kill. And he's more than powerful enough to bring both to this world. He recently returned to New York. He was gone for a long, long time, but he has since returned. He's able to pass between the realms. He is able to draw forces to himself and manipulate gravity, objects, light as well. In fact, he's on the hunt. He's very much on the hunt for these places of power. And the way you will tell, and the way that you will know that it is him, he is a boastful one. He calls himself the hierarchy or the oligarchy or some other pontificate title. Or at least he calls himself the tarot card, not the high priestess, not the emperor, but the look it up. Just look it up for me next time you're on a quest to look at the tarot. What is that thing called again?
Homunculus?
Well, homunculus is one. It's the priestly one. The name currently escaped me. But go through the tarot, you'll find his name there. It starts with an H.
Does he happen to have a mundane name?
None that he has given. But you'll know it is him because he will declare himself as such, and he uses shadowy hands. He literally will summon hands that are intangible but able to exert a force on you, to strangle you, to grapple you, to bring you to the ground.
Hmm.
Should you meet such an individual, the way I have found to counteract the shadowy hands is to simply cast a bright light on it. It works. I'm sure he has other tricks up his sleeve, but that's one way to shut that one down. Also, he has the ability to obliterate spirits, totally and utterly, within a second. It's actually quite disturbing to hear.
Have you informed Alicia and the others about this?
I've informed Alicia. I have warned her as such. This is
What?
me making sure that your people understand that it's not from me and my kind, it's a rogue.
Hmm. And she sits back and contemplates again. So you're trying to buy a certain degree of separation from this individual.
Yes. He is also one that would greedily suck up all these places of power and leave nothing.
How many times have you encountered him?
I have encountered him once. I've encountered him once. Jericho goes ahead and thinks about it for a few seconds. He came back from the radio silence. God damn it. If only somebody else had come out. Oh well.
What do you mean by radio silence?
By radio silence, I mean there's history to this city. Very much a history to this city. A year and a half ago, couldn't find anybody. Just gone. We assume that some big tragedy happened, some big catastrophe happened. We don't know a lot. We're still trying to figure it out. He's one of the assholes who may have been responsible for it, though.
Does this have anything to tie in with the events of last year and their giant fallen problem?
You know, I've heard about this thing. Usually from my other contacts, but no, the radio silence happened 6 months before. Could potentially be related. All I know is when that fallen problem happened, it caused a lot of my kind to bunker down. So I held no love for it.
When you encountered it, were you able to do anything to it? Harm it? Drive it away? Anything of that nature?
Oh god. We attempted to banish it, but it ate the banishment. It literally took the pattern that we were using and devoured it.
I don't suppose you tried anything mundane on it.
We didn't shoot it. We wanted to shoot it, but we couldn't. We had the idea to run away as quickly as possible.
Do you think it's possible to lure it into a space?
Well, that really depends. I think you and I both know its motivation to take places of power that seem weak and exposed and devour them. Are you really, really willing to use one of your own places of power as bait?
No.
There you go.
But yours, on the other hand, are small scale, at least from what I can gather, the way you describe them.
I myself am not willing to put any of my own assets and resources at risk for the moment. The situation may change if the situation becomes more dire.
So you'd rather let it snowball and become a larger problem before dealing with it?
I'd rather not give it any food whatsoever. I'm here to give you a warning about it, so that if you see it, you understand that that target is free to fire, free to shoot, free to take down, and so that it doesn't harm you and your people.
Danica will sit forward for just a moment. Jericho, I'm going to put something on the table, and you're free to simply laugh at it. But if this thing is so boastful as you claim, it's going to make itself known, correct?
At one point or another, it will.
If we were to encounter, first off, is it like you? Is it one of you? I mean, obviously you say it's rogue, but it is essentially you.
Sort of. He would seek to take everybody and obliterate it.
I'm not
I'd
worried
say
about his motivations at this point. I'm saying in the process of identifying, could someone of your ilk be confused or mistaken for him before he makes a boastful claim?
Let me tell you this. We call it residence. It has a his residence, you probably pick up very, very quickly. It is filled with death. It is filled with decay. You could feel him from miles and miles around. So if you have any ability to detect residence, that's it. It's something that, as far as I can describe it, it brings you down. It weighs you down. It's like when you eat too many McTooley burgers, and it goes away when somebody throws a burning stick in your direction. That kind of impurity, as I understand it. He is filled with that impurity.
If we were in the course of looking for it, could we mistake one of your kind for him?
If you're asking if he can bend reality, then yes, he can bend reality.
You know that my lot is the kind that will shoot first and ask questions later, correct?
Yes.
If we knew who those were of your ilk that are not necessarily on his side.
I'm not giving you a list of names to go ahead and run down, no matter what your intentions are.
Fair enough. It was worth a shot. The problem in the sky has to be dealt with first. It's nothing that I can debate or even give you some sort of illusion of change. I'm sure you're aware of that.
It's definitely the priority in everybody's list.
This other thing seems to be a little bit more sinister.
Hmm. It is a bit. It has a. Whereas the storm is a storm, it's a natural phenomenon. This old master definitely has a sentience to it, definitely has a motive and plan of attack.
Well, once the storm is dealt with, we can converse on this more. But I think the storm is. My kind wouldn't split their efforts between the two of this, I don't believe. They're going
I
to
would
see
not
one
X.
problem. They're going to see one problem and deal with that first.
Hierophant, that's what he calls himself, the Hierophant.
Hierophant. Danica is going to go ahead and start writing this stuff down in a small notebook, so that way she can remember it.
Storm first, that takes priority. I understand. Should you
Hierophant.
deal
If,
with the storm, I may be able to petition you for help to take down this old master.
all I can say is that if it's not our problem, we probably won't deal with it. However, if you're instrumental in dealing with the storm, that gives you leverage to call in a favor.
What do you think my entire plan has been since the beginning?
I don't know, because I don't know you from a hole in the ground, in all honesty. All I know is that you seem to tell the truth. You seem to have good motives now. I do believe that you have a messed up. You're getting yourself in over your head, I think, as far as it comes to Alicia. The last time we talked, I'm well aware of your affinity for her.
You could think that if you want to. If you were in my position, then what would you suggest? What advice and what would you do?
It's very rare that I've ever become enamored with somebody. Last time I did was almost 14 years ago.
Was that before or after you knew what you were?
Both.
Right around the same time, I would assume.
If you want to assume that, that's your prerogative. As I am now, if I knew the someone that I was getting close to was putting himself in danger by continuously interacting, I might step away. Now, this situation has become a little less complicated with the addition of the unicorn, obviously. But Alicia has also done her fair share to sully her name. And whether she meant to or not, that's what's happened.
I definitely understand that. Understand how she could do that.
You're getting yourself into a situation where, if you are pursuing something romantic with her, if your affection goes beyond simply a platonic state or a protective meaning, you could continue to endanger her by simply fraternizing with her. But I think you probably realize that, don't you?
If I was pursuing such a romantic relationship with Alicia, I would definitely put myself in front of many, many of her dissenters, those who think ill of her.
Danica's expression softens a little bit. The thing is, after they're done with you, they may not stop, depending on the degree of ire that she draws. I can tell you this. What she's doing by conferring with you, it's technically against the rules.
Tell me, what is she confirming to me? What is she talking about to me? What makes you so afraid of me?
We can't control or understand every bit of your motivations, Jericho. Within our own society, we can have a certain idea. We know, we can see warning signs. You, on the other hand, are an outsider. You're an unknown. And because you're an unknown, you can't be trusted.
So just because I come from a different house, that means you're going to go ahead and kill my cousin?
Me personally, no. But that is how the society that I live in can operate. I'm not saying it always does, but I've seen it happen.
New York is a screwed up place. I knew that the first day I came in when I fell into a pothole into another reality. And if my relationship with Alicia helps me fix some of these potholes, so be it.
I'm just giving you the fair heads up.
You know what? Thank you. No, really. Thank you. You're giving me a heads up. It's more than Alicia's willing to admit, because I know for a fact she's not telling me everything.
She probably thinks she's protecting you. Everything I can gather from that girl is that her motivations are pure enough. And I'd be lying if I said there isn't a part of me that envies her. But that being said, she puts a lot of people at risk without realizing it. You included, Jericho.
It's always women, right? It's always women.
Well, I don't want to generalize that much. I've heard plenty of tales of young males of my community getting themselves in over their heads where they shouldn't. Hell, my genesis comes from such a story.
Really, then?
Well, not in such a xenophobic sense. It wasn't outside of where it was supposed to be. It's just simply we all lived in the same community, but my father decided to hop the fence into somebody else's backyard, so to speak.
Okay.
Which is a
This,
funny anecdote to tell around certain campfires, trust me.
so what? This kind of conflict is common among your people?
There's a lot of stuff that's common among my people, Jericho. In all honesty, the pathologies of my kind are so numerous, it probably make your head spin. You take the mindset of a person and add in mindset of a beast. That's where you end up. As far as I know, you only have one mindset to worry about.
One mindset and several helpful voices.
Danica chuckled slightly. If you don't mind me asking, Jericho, where do you see this going between you and her?
It's going nowhere, just like this train and just like this conversation.
Danica's going to look at Jericho. I'll go ahead and roll my perception empathy because I'm pretty sure, unless you're not trying to mask it, you're definitely dodging at this point, correct?
Hmm. I'm trying to dodge.
Well, I can roll it if you want.
Yeah, let's roll it.
Yeah, one success.
3 successes, bitches.
So if I think that you're dodging, it's only pure speculation at this point.
Yep. Jericho is going to go ahead and change the topic of conversation, not too abruptly, actually rather smoothly, and you can go ahead and have suspicions if you would like. What do you do? I mean, like, what do you do for work?
I'm a consultant with people on Wall Street, believe it or not.
And if I don't?
That's on you. I'm not going to divulge all my secrets to you.
Neither will I. To you.
Fair enough.
What do you do for your people? Besides talk behind other people's backs.
How much has Alicia told you about certain roles within the community, specifically her role?
Some sort of judge.
Her and I share that in common.
So you're a judge. See, that first night, I knew that you were judging me.
If it weren't for me that night, you would have been dead.
As well as contemplates.
Who do you think kept the painted men from taking you out right then and there?
I would hopefully assume common sense, but since the painted men were the painted men. Do you all
I
have these funny names that go along with a group of you?
Some of us don't. It really comes down to individuals and how they decide to call themselves. Of course, sometimes certain labels are put on everybody regardless of what they do. Like I've heard tales of an individual that was in this community almost a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
who went by the name or was given a certain title of talks out of both ears.
I could see
I
that.
assumed it meant that he talked more than he listened.
And you? You belong to one of these groups?
Yes and no.
Are
And
you
I,
looking to...
I truly mean that, actually.
So, does that mean you'll never be a part of a group? Or does that mean that you're looking to be part of such a group?
Lone wolves don't get very far, regardless of what they may or may not want.
So, you're a lone wolf? Or are you a lone wolf looking to be a part of a group?
Does looking... I really couldn't call it looking without being... without dodging the question somewhat.
So you're already in one.
Again, complicated gray area, more or less, yes.
Hmm, understandable. Then what does your group do? What is its specialty?
Right now, making comments at each other's expense.
Hmm, interesting. What do you presume for that group then? What do you see yourselves 6 months down the line?
That's a good question. And I haven't really given it too much thought. I suppose with me there, hopefully a certain degree of temperance will be the norm. I don't like to react just on assumptions and speculation. That's why I keep coming to try and find you.
Temperance.
Temperance. And there's far too
Go.
many of us that don't have it.
Well, then I have different names for everybody. Names have certain power, especially among my kind. If you know somebody's name, you know that just much more about them. You hold that much more control over them. I'll call you Temperance.
Danny will do just as well, she says, kind of with a chuckle. It's, a, it's not that I don't appreciate the moniker, because actually I think it. If you're willing to call me that, then you have, I would imagine, a certain iota of respect for me. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't get a title until I earn it.
Keep it in the back of your head, because in my journals, from now on, you're going to be Temperance. And that's protect you. Because if one day down the line somebody takes my notes and they reads the names on there, they would gain a certain amount of power over you. I'm calling call you Temperance to protect you in this hilarious idea where any of my notes get fallen through.
That's why I don't keep digital notes. Too easy to get someone to get their hands on
Fair dues, Temperance, fair dues.
it. Do I need to give you a moniker?
I already gave you one, Jack.
That's so bland. If mine's going to be Temperance, yours has to be some sort of secret squirrel name.
Make it up then.
Secret squirrel?
If you want to call me Secret Skull, by all means, don't let me stop you.
I'll have to figure something out. Something that actually gives you a fair turn for what you said to me.
Temperance, I hope that you go ahead and prosper in this new group that you find yourself in, and I hope that we continue these amicable talks and conversations. And
It
that,
wasn't enough, I'll have to say.
and if shit does go down, either with Storm or this old master, hopefully we can call for each other's help. Because I think that would be a boon to both of us.
More than likely, yes. I'll tell you one thing, Jack. And she looks as they could see the lights from the next station coming up. You, if something were to happen, and you were to throw yourself in the way of danger for Alicia's sake, and you did make that ultimate sacrifice, there would be a certain place in my tales from that point on that would hold you with a high regard.
Unfortunately, I find myself as a survivor. I have stood in front of danger. I have stood in front of a reindeer and got ran over. It was especially hilarious because it was the holiday season. I got back up after that one. I'll always get back up.
Well, for your sake, I hope you're right.
This your stop?
Well, and she looks at the at the little I forget what they call those scrolling things that go across the top. Starts with an M.
Banner?
Marquee, like a marquee or
Oh,
something.
yeah. A banner marquee with the LED
Yeah.
lights that slide over.
Yeah. When she sees that they're in Harlem, she just chuckles to herself. We talked for a lot longer than I thought we would.
You had a lot to say.
You did too. But I'm not too worried about myself walking down the streets of Harlem. Who, on the other hand, as she stands up, not so sure about.
Maybe I know a shortcut.
Fair enough. Take care of yourself, Jack, and hopefully things remain amicable between your people and mine.
You have a good evening, Temperance.
And with that, as she gets to the door and the door opens, the person on the other side immediately jumps out of her way. She just kind of rolls her eyes as she walks past and into the crowd.
Jericho will go ahead and stay on the train, cursing himself that he will have to add an hour or so to his particular commute, just to make sure that he isn't followed again.
And I think there we can call that a scene.